I'll talk more about your organization in a second. The reason why I wanted to have you on today, I've come across some stuff from listeners and from people who are dialed into what's happening on a state level. You did a good thing here a while back where you went and tried to vote in New Hampshire, and you didn't show ID, and they said, oh, that's fine, vote anyway. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Last January, we did a video where we went into the, on primary day, went into poll locations, and we went up to the poll workers and said, you know, do you have a John Doe on your list? We said the name of someone who is deceased. And the poll workers handed out the ballots out to us, and the names of these people. And, you know, we didn't have any ID. We said, you know, we want to go back and get our ID. And they said, no, don't do that. This is New Hampshire. No ID necessary. Live free or die. And we did it about 12 times, and every single time they gave us the ballot, we didn't accept the ballots because that would have been a felony to take the ballots, procure the ballots is the term of art. So we then released the video, and it caused that, you know, it made the front page of the Concord Monitor and all these other papers. And I'm not from New Hampshire, so.
Sure.
But then we had your governor, John Lynch, wanted to arrest me, and the other guy, you know, Attorney General Richard, or Assistant Attorney General Richard Head.
Yep.
That's quite a name. He tried to issue a criminal indictment against me and all these things. And it's unfortunate, but this is what happens to your public officials when you embarrass them, when you showcase something that they say doesn't exist.
Yeah, and what you did there actually led to a law that made it so that you have to show ID. Now we're in a position in the state of New Hampshire where our legislature wants to overturn that law and go back to the way it was when you came here and quote-unquote tried to vote illegally, though we know that this was part of a project. Now I'm getting into a situation where I'm getting people, and I did a segment last week on this, that one of our former elected officials took all the names of the people who voted in his town and sent them first-class mail. He got 197 of those came back as no address, nobody here by that name. And it's like, we still have an issue here. And the reason why I bring it up is because I'm really of the belief that voter fraud is a major, major issue. And it seems to be something that conservatives and libertarian types, people on the right, seem not to want to talk about. Are you seeing this in other areas?
You know, that's not what I'm seeing. I mean, most people that after we did these videos, most people agreed that what was happening was wrong. In fact, we had organizations like The Nation, like Slate, you know, basically say how impressive these videos were and how much of an impact they were having. I think that it's self-evidently wrong, or it's just prima facie wrong when you expose ballots being given out to some other people, even if, you know, what they try to say is that, well, you know, it's very difficult to do impersonation voting, but it's just wrong. It's like, would you leave your bank teller door or the bank vault door wide open with money just sort of falling out of the? You know, you close that door right away. You don't trust people are falling. You don't just trust that the system is going to work. You have to have some check and balance to make sure that fraud doesn't happen. So we've got a huge reception to all the videos, and you know, the biggest video at the end of the year was we actually caught a congressman's field director and son, Pat Moran, on tape telling us how to vote in other people's names using forged utility bills. So we've done a lot of these videos, and they've changed a number of laws. And I've never just, you know, seen people that don't want to really talk about it.
Yeah, I think what I meant to say was, it seems like if you get into a voter fraud, it can get into an area where, to be fair, the mainstream media has turned this into a tinfoil hat wearing deal. If you say, hey, there's a voter fraud issue, they turn, oh, you're being ridiculous. How can you believe this? And I think that a lot of people are afraid to speak out, and that's why I kind of took it on here, because what happened with Bob Kingsbury, the representative who did this project here, he really got excoriated. People were like, there's no problem. We already took care of it. You got your law with the ID. Now let it rest. But at the same time, I can't imagine if one small town in New Hampshire had 197 people out of, say, 2,800 that don't exist. This has got to be a problem throughout the state, and maybe there's something there that we can take up. I don't know. On the WNTK Newsline is James O'Keefe from Project Veritas. Now, I just want to move on, James. You're you have a new video out. I'm going to post that on our Facebook page, to linking up to your website, and it's about you going to Hollywood producers, or at least movie producers, and asking them to get the guns out of their movies. What was the response to that?
Well, we did this video where we went up to Tribeca Enterprises, and that's the studio which produced the movie. It's Robert De Niro's production company. They produced Public Enemies. It's a very violent movie with Johnny Depp. And I don't personally, want to take guns out of movies. That's not my belief. But I wanted to prove a point, because the president has said, well, if you save the life of one child, it's worth taking action.
Sure.
And we said, well, if that's the rule, then let's take guns out of movies, because Lord only knows how many of these people that could go on a violent rampage were at least partially inspired by a violent movie. So we went up to these people, and they were just, the response was sort of very interesting. Some people actually signed our pledge to take guns out of the movie. Other people were like, no, that you're being reductionist. That's not what I believe. That's not going to do anything. So it was a very interesting response. And we went up to Piers Morgan as well, who kind of punted on the idea. We went up to Oprah's studio, and they kind of kicked us out, called security. So we're just trying to show the double standard that exists. And the kind of what happens when you try to take an action to save the children. It's kind of a ridiculous front, and some people love it, some people hate it.
Yeah, James, I'm up against a hard break, so I got like 30 seconds. Your website is projectveritas.com. You need donations to keep doing the good work you're doing, don't you?
Yes. If you like that voter fraud video, if you want to see more, it's not easy. They come after us. They try to sue us. They try to, everything. But, it's projectveritas.com. The mainstream media obviously doesn't like this, but that's why these videos are so important. You said people don't want to talk about voter fraud. Well, the videos forced them to. So, go to our website and help us make more videos.
Sounds good. James, I'll be reaching out again. Thanks so much for coming on this morning.